All right, all right. If you know, you know. Yes, yes, yes. We are back for another open court discussion live in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co-host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis. Oh man, I thought we was trying to do the ceasefire tonight, but I don't know about that growl. Good evening, gang. I know we have been having heat waves all over, but tonight, July 13th at 9 p.m., we will be bringing another one, the ceasefire. Why men stop approaching women. We're calling a ceasefire on the lie. Men didn't stop approaching women because they got weak. They stopped because the battlefield changed and nobody updated the rules of engagement. In the 1990s, the risk was rejection. You walked up, she said no, you drank it off, and tried again on Friday. In 2026, the risk is documentation. You walk up, she says no, and now you're a screenshot, a TikTok reel, um, HR complaint, and a story time with 2 million views. Rejection used to bruise your ego. Now it brands you a creep for life. So many men retreated not to their mom's basement, to places where the rules make sense. Some jumped into the porn life uh, because you can't get sued. Um, Video games that don't post your failures. AI girlfriends don't have a sister with a podcast. I like to know who has an AI girlfriend. Uh, and women are mad and asking, where did all the real men go? Same place you sent them to the sidelines with a rule book that says be confident but not aggressive, be direct but not pushy, pay but expect nothing, lead but ask for permission first. You can you can't ask man to be less of a threat and more of a initiator. These are opposite jobs. For the next 2 hours, we're doing the after action report. Why he won't say hi, why she won't smile back, and why the dating economy collapsed when we criminalize male risk and subsidize female inde- indecisions. This is the controversial counselor in the big bad wolf. The talking stage is over. If you want a man to approach, you better lower the cost of failure. If you're a man who wants to approach, you better bring more than vibes. Welcome to the ceasefire. Let's negotiate new terms. So here we are. Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. Yeah, no. Before we get into that, any housebreaking information? Me, I don't have anything. Just kind of laying low, doing a few things, trying to make a few dollars here and there, and that's about it. It's a lot of things that I got to say, but I probably don't feel like discussing right now, and it has nothing to do with that. It's more to do with the incident I had before we left school with the whole tooth situation and trying to get some resolution with that. But man, the help ain't helping. The help ain't helping. Whatever. People follow up sucks, and it takes forever to get something done, even though
Oh,
you were doing something right. And makes me have a whole new perspective going into this year. And all I can say is they better double, triple up, or whatever, far as staff support, because David Lorenzo Glover ain't breaking up no fights, no nothing. I'm done. I'm done. It's just my little vent or rave. Don't care who listening to it, because I feel just in feeling the way that I feel. Uh, but that's pretty much all I have going on. Like I said, just relaxing, trying to make a few dollars here and there, and just watching how the summer is just freaking flowing by. It's the middle of July already. Uh, and I heard something, I think at the end of last week, I was listening, driving and listening to the radio, and one of the DJs on Sirius was like, I know y'all don't want to hear this, educators. I know y'all don't want to hear it, but summer is damn near fucking over. And then I thought about it, but we had just talked about that last week on Monday, and I'm like, man, that shit is it's about done. Like once you hit August, it's over. It's a wrap. You sitting on pins and
Pretty much.
needles, and like, damn man, sooner or later my sleeping habits have to change, and falling asleep during the day is not an option, and staying up to wee hours watching movies or whatever. Well, I tell you, if these 2 months in the summer went by during the school year, then it would already be November when we get there. It'd already be Thanksgiving time, but it doesn't operate like that. Uh, all right, that's all I have. We got a good show tonight. Should be a lot of reflections and a lot of personal testimonies to this whole ceasefire thing, and a lot of comparisons from the 90s to the current state that we're in. Big Bad Wolf, what's good with you?
Man, I went to cut my homegirl's grass today. I didn't think I was gonna make it. Boy, you know what the funny thing about it is, getting older, man, it makes you look back on a whole lot of things and ask, how in the hell? So I'm gonna ask, how in the hell did I think this kind of weather was cool as a kid? This ain't fun, man. I don't know if it's the fact that I'm heavier now, I'm older, I'm not as mobile as I used to be, man. But this heat is just it's just a bit too much, man. You people that love this kind of weather, like when I was younger, and I'll say it again, I used to like working out in it. I never really was one for sitting in it. There's a difference between me working out because I don't have to worry about pulled muscles. So yeah, I get out there, rollerblade, I bike. I don't bike nearly as much as I used to, man. I will put in a week exercising, I'll put 50, 60 miles on a bike. That ain't happening anymore. Them legs are gone. Them lungs don't exist. And this heat is just crushing.
Mm.
So I gotta find a different way to lose weight, man, that don't require me to be on the bike as much. I gotta find a way to do it. I've done intermittent fasting. I think I have to get back to that. And definitely gotta stop eating before I go to bed. The wings and pizza ain't getting it done. But other than that, man, I ain't got nothing to complain about.
But
Health
hold up,
is
you
what it
still getting
is,
them
man.
pizzas and wings?
No, you know what? The funny thing about it is, I don't eat the wings and the pizza anymore, but I'm still eating before I go to bed. I'm just not eating as much. So what I
Okay.
got to do, I got because when I'm at my other job, I eat lunch. So I'm breaking my fast prematurely. Before I was working then, it was easier because I would only eat at night. So the weight loss is steady. Like I was down to like 280, which is about now about 45 pounds more, or 45 pounds less than what I weigh now. So I'm about three something. So I gotta work with the mechanism to get myself back to that. And sleeping's been a little bit better. I don't know if it's because I got the AC running and it's not as hot, but I'll figure it out because as Jason Black says, if you don't handle life, life will handle you. Yeah. So I'm gonna handle this shit and I'm gonna get it done. But I mean, all things considered, man, I really that's if that's the height of my complaints, I got no complaints. I really don't, man. I'm living in a house, talk about the AC running, and there are people living on the street starving. So I really can't complain. And don't take what I'm saying as complaint. I'm just putting it out there. That's my struggle. Some as a book Hitler would say, Mein Kampf, my struggle. But that's
Speaking of
about it, though, man. But go ahead.
speaking of that, I did have a sleep study that they recommended that
Oh,
I take, and I took that one of the home studies. I did that I think last maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. So got to wait for the results of that. But what one of the doctors was saying is like if you have sleep apnea or if you snore, it could take years off of your life.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
So it's like it's important to try to get that rectified. And I have been told that a long time ago, and then I would get to the point before it was they would want you to come in, stay the night, and observe you. But now they kind of moved away from that, and they just give you the little gadget to
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
utilize. And then once you get done with it, you just trash it, and you use your cell phone, and it collects the data is downloaded to a program, and then it goes to your doctor, and then they get the results, and then they share with you as far as next steps. So that's where I'm at with that. So we'll see. I mean, it was a long time coming, but as you get older, sometimes you say, "Shit, I didn't listen years ago, but now I'm gonna start
I'm
being
always
more in
there.
tune with it because for me, I still feel like I got a lot of life to live and a
Yeah.
lot of things still that I want to accomplish and things that I want to do. And again, as I approach uh, 60 in um, 4 years, I want my 60s to be like shit. Like I'm sitting everywhere with my hand behind my head, just chilling, doing what I want to do on my terms. And I think when you're able to do that, shit, it makes your 70s better. If you struggle in your 60s, shit, and you get to your 70s, your family might start looking, picking out outfits and looking at funeral shit and caskets and stuff because again, if you
I
struggle in your
bet that.
60s, your 70s, whatever, you may be on your way out. I ain't trying to be the bearer of bad news like I'm Nostradamus or anything. I just see how the people I know and the people I see, and like how, of course, as you get older, you get progressively worse. But I think if you solid in your mind and you still got good physical health in your 60s, then 70s could be, still a nice transition. And you still, of course, you're going to be slowing down, but you still may be relatively healthy. But that's
Yeah, and,
that.
to
Go ahead.
follow that up, progression of life, and we've talked about that the last couple of weeks. There's nothing wrong with growing older. There's a problem with getting older because getting older means you're not doing anything. Growing older means just like David said, you're sitting back, chilling, you're observing, you're taking in, and you're taking that knowledge and you're doing something with it. We're both doing something with ours, and we want people who listen to us, whether you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, or beyond, to do something with that. Who was I just looking at? Lee Corso. If you're an NCAA college football fan, you know who Lee Corso is. Right now, he said he is struggling with retirement. He said he has nothing to do, and we talked about this a few weeks ago with people having pools to reach back in. Lee has so much to offer, but the fact that it's gone untapped is the problem. See, we as a society, we don't ingratiate the elders in the way that we need to. In my opinion, just my opinion, Lee Corso needs to have his own masterclass in how to entertain the crowd. Because anytime you sat on college football game day with those heads, The crowds were going crazy. Didn't matter who they was. You have to have the personality to do that. Not everybody can do that. And Lee was masterful at it. So if any execs out there, anybody out there who hires talent or does that, reach out to that man and find out how he did it. Inject some life into him so he can inject some life into us. Get off our soapbox. Just wanted to put that out there because we all gonna go through it one day. We all gonna stop working. We all gonna stop working in the amount of hours we do, and then we're gonna fall back and say, "Damn, what now?" This is why I always say volunteer, and that way you always have a hand in what's going on. You have a pulse in the community. Never forget that.
You know, reminds me of one of my buddies I work with. He's a couple years older than me, but he was like, yeah. When we talk, he always say like he has about 10 more years in him to teach because he loved teaching, he loved coaching. He's the coach of the basketball team, and I just grin. I say, "You can have it, man. You can have it." And then he like, "Ah, I know you ain't about to walk us." And then he said, "But I think you serious." I said, "Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm in my mid 60s, whatever. It's just no way. Not that I can't, but again, I just keep saying with this culture and the way things are going, um, and we often use the phrase "it's a young man's game." I don't really know if it's a young man's game because I don't know if young people are equipped to handle what happens on a day-to-day basis in the school setting. That comes with experience and a lot of life experiences and situational things that you've seen happen over the years that you'll say, shit, this is going on now. It's a little different, but I remember 20 years ago, this was happening and it's similar. So you kind of adapt to certain situations, whereas a young a young man may get flustered and make the wrong decision or say the wrong thing and all that. But I just know that for me, I've put in the work, so I'm not looking to be like 68 and still up in nobody's school unless I'm coming there and they saying, "Hey, we want you to do some type of consultant work or whatever the case is," and I'm going through airports, traveling and speaking or doing whatever the case is, and even then, I'm not even thinking about that. If it happens, it happens. Sometimes once you walk away from something and people realize, like, damn, he put in that work. Like, dang, he did all that. Opportunities may open up that you're not even thinking about, and you're like, man, I wasn't even expecting all this. So you just gotta, you still want to stay relevant and still let everybody know your craft, your skills that you bring to the table. But it's nothing that I'm thinking about at the moment. But that's that. We got to talk about this ceasefire and and this whole dating thing. And I know people always do, why you always talk about dating, why you always do this, because dating and relationships are everything in life, good, bad, or indifferent. Everywhere you go, everything you do, you have to have some type of relationships. Family is relationships. Work, you have work relationships. You in school, you have relationships. No matter what you do, relationships are important. They don't always have to be intimate, but unfortunately we're talking about the ceasefire as far as men and women, and I guess the lack of dating or how the rule of engagements have changed. So I'm going to start off by talking about a few things. Hey Doc, how you doing? Thanks for joining. Um, Again, I had mentioned earlier in the promo when I was reading rejection from like in the 1990s. I remember that was big growing up. As youngsters, we would, it might have been a girl that we liked, but our whole thing was you might not want to say anything because you didn't want to get uh, rejected. And we used to laugh and tease each other. Oh man, you got rejected. Oh, you got rejected. And it was kind of, for me, I was quiet and shy, so it was kind of a scary process to kind of step to a girl a young lady and let them know that you were interested in them because yeah, obviously you had to have confidence. And my confidence wasn't just there because I was quiet, but that was it. You step to them, you get rejected. Most of the slack would have just came from your peers. If they knew that you liked them and they knew that you got shot down, uh, you probably get a lot of backlash from your homeboys. And even if you got homegirls, no, but mainly they would probably if they were vouching for you, they may be the ones, and we'll talk about that too, the village that would try to hook you up or put in a good word for you. Boys did that too. But after they laughed and cracked on you and shit, then they might say, "All right, I got you tonight." But it wasn't the way it is now in 2026, where you wonder why men may not approach women because, again, like I said, everything, when you get rejected, it's not only you just walk away and you're like, all right, hey, I tried. I got shot down. Keep it moving. Now you're in group chats. Again, you got women going on TikTok. Guess what? This dude tried to step to me and they critiquing your wardrobe, critiquing your grill, your outfit, like I said, your wardrobe, your outfit, just everything. And you're, you're getting a lot of ridicule, backlash, and all that. So some guys may say, man, the hell with that. She's attractive. Damn, she's beautiful, but I'm not saying nothing to her. And again, HR complaints if there's somebody you're interested at work. So a lot of times guys will say, man, I'm backing off. I'm shying away from that. And unless it's a known thing, like maybe the woman gives you hints or you find out from the village, which the village ain't the village how it used to be, and say, she's interested in you. Then the guy may say, all right, you get a little more amped up. But if it's just something like you see somebody you don't really know them and you step to them, a lot of guys have, unfortunately, fear of that because of the documentation. Everything is documented. And I'll just leave it at that and pass the mic.
I'm gonna take on the last comment that the good doc posted. Now we did a show some time ago about where do we find suitable mates now versus then. And the good doc says you don't defecate when you eat. Gotta take you to task on that, the good doctor. Because a generation ago, guess where the top two places you met your mate at? At work and at church. Now, being that a segment of us men no longer subscribe to the good word because the way the good word is being spoken, it's work. However, as Dave mentioned, things about HR, that's a minefield. You don't necessarily want to tread in the minefield the way our fathers and mothers did because it could, you could lose a toe or you could lose a foot. Now, losing a toe might smart a little bit, but you still can function. What was that in a movie? I think it was not Boomerang Harlem Nights. Said I can't cook with just good toe with four good toasters or something to that extent. Anyway, you can do something with four toes. You'd be all right, but a foot, not really. So you got to tread lightly. And at the village, and there's work villages too. There's work villages that'll let you know if you put out the right feelers with the right people. And I'll address that too, Dave. There's feelings if you put up with the right people, you get the right information from the right person. Now, you may not do anything while you're at work. You might wait till you go out with the rest of the people. Happy hour when you get a couple of drinks in you, and you slide off to a nice secluded table, and you two handle your business. That's how workplace romances go now, as opposed to then. What Dave was talking about is now that rejection, where it used to be private among your friends, your peers, is everyone. and uh that's what are preempt men to do what you're suggesting. Now, I'm not here to talk about if it's right or wrong. Of course, you have to have something in you that makes you want to do that. I can't say I know of any men that have done that. I've read where men have done that, and I don't know what to say. Honestly, I have no idea how to tell women how to avoid those men because I don't know them. The only thing I can say is this: if you think that you may be encountering a man who behaves like that, give me a number and then block him and pray you never see him again. Because more often than not, you're not going to see this person again if you don't work with them. You don't hang out where they hang out. This is why we always talk about places to go to meet people. Because what that does is it creates a barrier around yourself so you don't encounter people like that. You're less likely to encounter somebody who doesn't like politics if you go to a political dinner, a political rally. They don't want to be anywhere near that. Think about if you go to a gay rally. Who are you not going to find there? Pretty much heterosexual men unless they're supporting their female friend. Not going to do it. This is why we talk about these things, and everybody say, "Well, why do you guys keep talking about it?" Because the message hasn't hit home. It hasn't sunk in. The people keep talking about, "Well, where do we find men?" They won't come out to these dates. They won't come out to these events because they don't want to be around the people that are there. It's that simple. I can't make it any more simple than that. So that's why those men don't approach. Now, go ahead, Dave.
It was a couple things that came across my mind. One of the things is it reminded me. I know you mentioned. I think you said Boomerang, and even that was in the '90s. But the
Mm-hmm.
one scene where he did, had a work relationship, and when it went sour, when he went back to work, they were all snickering and laughing, and if you equate that, and he's walking around paranoid, looking like, damn, what the hell? Everybody, every female I walk by, they freaking keep snickering. Shit, that shit would just destroy you at work, whatever,
Yeah.
and because all the goods is out. But now, if you equate that to the group chats, that's what it's like for a man when women have group chats, and especially if it's a guy that's somewhat popular or whatever the case is, and you're like, yeah, this is what he said in the chat, or this what he keep inboxing me, and then you screenshotting it and you sharing it with your friends. That shit, like, you don't have to. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And even when guys do it with their homeboys, that's to me that's like some teenage middle school behavior. But it's happening with adults. It makes a guy say, "Nah, I ain't stepping. I'm not even gonna holler at this girl because she got too many friends, too many girlfriends. When I see her out, it's seven, eight, nine, 10 of them deep. So why would I step to her and have to deal with all these different opinions and these little comments? So nah, even though y'all might have it might been some eye contact and all that, but he's not gonna step to you in that type of setting when you roll with seven, eight different people because he know that's gonna be drama and chaos. And that's only the seven, eight people that you with. They're
Right.
gonna have three or four other girlfriends, each of them, and they gonna share stuff with, and it's just gonna multiply, and he's gonna be everything's gonna be out there. So the next person that maybe in the inner circle he stepped to, wasn't you just trying to holler at old girl? You was all up in her inbox. It was in this group chat that you did this, you did that. Oh, you said the same thing to her. And so what can you do? But that's how it is. And again, I can understand when Doc said you don't shit where you eat because if work relationships go bad, then it's bad. It reminds me also too, and I'm not gonna say no names. Years ago, I had a coworker, and it was a teacher, and he called himself trying to holler at her via email, sent her. It was over Christmas break. Wanted to holler at her, ask her out. Do you want to go out for some cocktails, whatever, over the Christmas break? So she sent it to me, and I'm laughing. I'm laughing at the guy, like, wow, like, damn, he must have had some type of feeling or vibe that he can come at you like that. And she's like, I don't know why. And she pretty much, I think she just ignored it. She said, I'm not even going to say anything back. So that's rejection right there when you don't get nothing back.
Ghosting,
So,
yeah.
so you know what happened for the rest of the year. He avoided her. He used to walk past us at dismissal time. He took a shortcut, went out other doors so he wouldn't have to see her. So he kind of put himself out there and set himself up. And she didn't share, she kind of shared it with our department, but that was that. But and I'm the only guy in there, but I just thought it was hilarious. I'm like, man, he played his hand. He put it all out there and had nothing to even warrant him to say, hey, let me take a shot at her. He just took a chance, but then he was playing Roger the Dodger for the rest of the school year because he took that chance. So that kind of reminded me of that when you think about the work situations.
And that spreads. What a lot of people don't realize is men talk. We just don't do it in the way that women do. So take that situation for instance. If that was my boy, but like, it's jacked up, dude. It really is. But now you know why we in the red pill community, we don't take women seriously. It's what I can get when I can get it. Um, we know this, and this is when women's reputations move to front and center. What a lot of guys will say, hey, look, you know what? Women talk about they want to be courted, but they don't understand what it means to be courted. And what that means is this. You can't tell me as a woman you want to be courted when I hear your name. I don't know you, I just hear your name. In 4 or 5 different circles. And I know the men in those circles. Oh, I know they home run hitters. They gas and dash. They ain't staying around. So if I said, you know what? Let me try my luck. Let me holler at this chick. And I step to her and I holler at her. And she turned her nose up at me. Oh, that's when that come out. And said, oh, look, I just wanted to see if the word was true. And you told me the word? What you talking about? Well, water on the campfire and shit. Everybody get a turn at them panties. And now you mad. You mad because he done pulled your car. He done told you what nobody else is telling you. Even your homegirls ain't telling you. Because your homegirls know. Your homegirls know how you get down. And they said, okay, you know what? Yeah, but that's all right. I just wanted to see if the word was true. And you think he being uppity or sassy, as they like to say. But he ain't only telling you what's going on at the scuttlebutt. Whether you're doing it or not is immaterial. That is your reputation. And that's what's out there ahead of you that you have no idea about. So as opposed to being pissed, you should thank that cat. And you should go around and start checking the people who putting this information out there about you, whether it's true or not. Because if it is true, then you, as women, need to stop telling your business. Or, as I like to say, stop dealing with men who tell your business. I done said it before, years ago. I don't care who you do what with. I don't care how you do it with. Make sure who you doing it with and how you doing it with stays between you two. There's a lot of cats out here who don't care about your reputation. So they would assume dog your reputation out. And I give a damn.
And I keep saying it also too, that you think you women in these group chats, you speaking on this man or this, that, and you sharing details and you think, oh, that's my home girl. She won't do this or that. Yeah. All right. That code don't exist. That girl code, and I know some of you are going, nah, not me and my crew, whatever. You only can speak for yourself, which you wouldn't do, but you don't know what they would do. If they look at a guy and like, man, he nice, he dressed nice, he got swag, he intelligent, he treat her nice, and they look at like she kind of treat him like shit. And I'm in a fucked up relationship, and they start thinking, I wish I had him. I wish he would holler at me. And next thing you know, shit, he going to her like, yo, what's up with your girl? Like, damn, I really care for her. And she be giving me the cold shoulder. Next thing you know, her conversation may change a little bit towards you. Like, I don't know. I don't know, whatever. I think you wasting your time and all that. She's still, and then now she telling other shit. She's still sort of like into this guy, whatever. And she like, man, I'm telling you, I always told her, if I had an opportunity like you was a nice guy. That's how that conversation started changing. Then there's more dialogue between them two, and next thing you know, she putting in the bed. She putting in the bed for that. And you may not know, you may never know. You may not be the same one in your face, y'all hang out with and all that, and you may
Mm-hmm.
never know that he's over there John Deering. John Deering her um when times that you don't want to be bothered, and he know. So I'm gonna call her. We gonna go over there, bring a bottle, whatever, and we gonna hang out. We gonna keep this between us, and we gonna keep it cool like that. But nah, y'all think I have all the damn answers. Nah, we don't get down like that. Me and my crew, whatever. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype at all. Don't believe the hype. That's all I got to say. Whatever. I've been said. Throw that code away. It don't exist. How I know it don't. How I know don't exist. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind.
There's a movie. I'm glad you brought that up, man. There was a movie. It had two sequels. Cruel Intentions. If you haven't seen them, go watch them. You'll thank me later. And it's following just what David has said. So while you're asking why I'm in approaching, that's not the question you should be asking. The question you should be asking is why are men approaching me? Because I guarantee you, there's quite a few women getting approached. And not just, once a day, once a week, once a month. Their social media contacts is filled with men trying to get at them. And we're not talking about splendid 8, 9s, and 10s. We're talking about running mill 4s, maybe 5s and 6s, and some 7s in there. They get attention all the time. Why? Men deem them approachable. They don't have that RBF, as you women like to call it, or some women like to call it, the wrestling bitch face. When they approach and they don't want to necessarily be approached, they're having a down day. They say, look, you know what? Now's not the time. I'm sure you're a great guy. My name is such and such. You know what? If you need to get a hold of me, contact. This is my Facebook. This is my IG. Here you go. Catch me some other time. Grace will get you far. Grace, beauty, intellect, and being inviting will get you to where nothing else can get you other than maybe your name or contact. So if you want to be approached, you have to send out signals. You have to roll out a red carpet of sorts that says, I'm open and I am approachable. Thinking a man is supposed to read your head? That's not gonna do it. Calling card for the women back in the day. She would walk in front of a man and drop her handkerchief. That was the calling card. A lot of you women, simply put, you don't have a calling card. Now, I have in my head something that will help grease the skids, so to say, for women, but I'm not gonna put that out there because I'm looking to profit off it. Sorry. It's about the dollar bill, y'all. Cream.
Oh, Doc said it's
However,
on Netflix. That movie
I
you mentioned.
cool cool intentions is one, two, and there's three of them. Um, the first one is not so much, but two or three, yeah, two or three are dastardly. Two or three, they yo, man, they give it a master classes in deception and how to, yeah, man, they doing some things. I like Cool Intentions one, and this is sidebar because of the soundtracks. They had the Verb on it with a song called Bitter Symphony, and another couple other ones that I like. And this is around the time that I was any movie I saw, I tried to get the soundtrack to, but I realized um what I thought was going to be on the soundtrack versus what was on the soundtrack. So there's always trying to find out um what movies are going to be on the soundtrack and why. So that's an endeavor in and of itself. That
So it is on Netflix.
said
You
again.
know, so it is on Netflix or not?
Definitely, Dr. Blue is saying it's on Netflix.
Oh,
I have Cool Intentions one, I think. No, I have Cool Intentions two here in my catalog of DVDs that I got splashed all over the darn house, man.
no, I
But
think she was asking, is it on there?
oh, I don't know. I saw
Oh,
I saw I saw Cool Intentions one. I want to say at the movies. Two, I was on two or three was on DVD. I think it was two. So, but I mean, we talk about Hollywood mimicking life. But see, this is what people gotta.
well,
I
hold
and
on, Daphne. There is a saying: if you can't hang with the big dogs, stay on the porch. uh,
I, this is why the the situations exist that they would do, especially for women, because women always have, depending on their age, of course, women always have to operate from a deficiency unless she's proactive in it. One of the last women I dated over some years ago, she pursued me in a manner of speaking. So when I got word that she was interested, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Now, in her pursuing me, we were equal. You know, I wasn't hiding anything from her. She wasn't hiding anything from me. Her and I had a really, really good rapport. She just got engaged. And like I said, best wishes to her and him. Um, Women, take the first step. And what I mean when I say take the first step is let that individual know you are interested in him. Yeah, there's married people have always been in the dating pool. That's not going to change, and I'll address that in a moment. But women, take the initiative. Let him know that you're interested in him, and if he asks what might those interests be honest. Tell him you're not quite sure, but you would like to explore more. That's it. You have a lot of women out here that are too bashful because they don't want to be quote unquote rejected. As a woman, you can't be rejected. Let me say that again. As a woman, you can't be rejected. What you can be is told that the individual you're talking to isn't interested. Leave it alone. That's the problem a lot of women have is they want to know why you're not interested in her. And
So hold
this
on,
is when your ego.
hold on, hold on.
Oh, go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
So if you say that they can't be rejected, what's the difference of them being rejected and a man feeling rejected?
Because you and I know
Mm,
that if a man is approaching a woman, he wants them goods.
mm,
We don't necessarily know if the woman wants to have sex with that man. She's interested in because either what she sees or what she's heard or what she's been told.
but
Go ahead.
but they also say that women know, and maybe that's when they in their first dating situation, they know within 5 minutes if they want to sleep with the man.
That is correct. And that's why women can't be rejected because we know beyond the shadow of a doubt that women reserve the right of first refusal for whatever reason. She don't like your shoes, you're out of there. She don't like your breath, you're out of there. She don't like your clothes, you're out of there. You said something odd, you're out of there. She reserves the right to change her mind. A man ain't doing that. You could have said something jacked up. He's like, you know what? I still want to tap. I still want to see if it's any good or not. I still want to see if the head game we gonna touch on some things that might be a little offensive. So if the kids is up, you may want to put them to bed. Your middle schoolers get to behind the bed. Stop
They ain't
listening to the
going to
wolf all the
bed.
time.
They ain't going to bed. They right on it like, oh. Luckily, my students, they go there and they're in high school. They're in high school now.
But yeah. So that becomes the right of refusal. That's the trump card that women hold. So yes, you can't be rejected. You can only be just no. I'm not interested, and we have to understand that women, you that's your trump card. I'm not interested, but you don't need to go nuclear.
She said it's summer. Like they ain't in the bed yet.
You don't have to go nuclear as a woman. I will tell you what. I'm gonna make a wager. I'm gonna make a $50 wager to any woman, 50 payable by Cash App or what else do I have? The other one I can't remember. I'll pay it to you. If you can reject 10 men, 10 men. I'm sorry, wait a minute. Let's knock that down. If you can reject 5 men and those men can still speak highly of you, I will give you $50. That's my challenge to any woman out there who can do that. I want to see how well you can reject a man and still make him think the world of you. That's my challenge to one woman out there if you can do that. And I'm good. My money payment game and bets and deals are as 100. Because what women don't understand is this. If you drop me from 100 feet and then land in the soft, do you think I'm going to be afraid to try it 100 feet again? Why? Because the rejection was soft, the landing was soft. I said, oh, that ain't that bad. But let me try with the next female. Next female, next female. I might get rejected 100 times. And if the landing is soft 100 times, not only does my confidence increase, I don't care if I get rejected because I'm just like, you know what? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. There you go. People, doctor says I treat people kindly and I'm always respectful. This is why some women don't have to worry about getting slapped upside the head by some near do well guy who ain't all together because that's all he get is, nigga, why would I want to deal with you? Look at this shit. in this day and age where men don't necessarily seem to care about women's well-being, that's one of the things that you can be assured of. Because look, there'll be some guys out there who will be sitting on the sideline and they'll see you struggling with something, knowing that you rejected them. Guess what? They might still offer to help you. That's the value, the hidden value.
Wouldn't that be considered a simp?
Not necessarily, and that's a very good question. We all, I don't care who you are, we all want to be in someone else's good graces. So if I see you struggling with something, I have the right to offer you some assistance without the expectation of getting anything in return. That's the difference. See, simps are expecting something in return, where if I just offer you something without the expectation, I'm good. Because the only thing I was doing was serving some grace, offering some grace. And so people say, well, damn, dude, did she reject us? Yes. So what? Okay, and you went over and did that for her? Oh, man, I'd have never did that for her. And guess what?
Her moving furniture.
Well, no, this is the rub, though. This is why you will never, ever be in somebody else's good graces. Guess what? She would say, you know what? I may not be suitable for him, but you know what? I got a female friend. You know what? They may make. Okay, speaking, I need to get something to drink. They may make a good couple.
And that would be the village, people. That would
So
be the
now,
village.
when you're saying why a guy speaking, if she says, you know what, let me hook you up with my homegirl. She bring your homegirl. She said, hey, look, this is such and such, and then sit there. Then you can ask the question, well, why don't guys approach me? Because somebody put somebody in your midst who thought you were a good mate, well, potentially to make a good couple, good mate. That's what we miss when we talk about we don't date at the workplace. We don't do this there. We don't do this that there. There's nothing wrong with extending yourself out to other people to be helpful. There's nothing wrong with it, but people have gotten to the point where they don't think. I'm just trying to kill flies. People don't think that being helpful is something people should do. They don't think that being human and doing humane things for people is okay. And I'm trying to figure out, when did not offering some assistance to somebody not become uncool? I don't know. If I can help, I'll help. And I think sometimes I overextend myself because I end up getting into some dumb situations that are just like, if you just kept your mouth closed, you'd have been good. Let me read this. Dr. Blue says, I was at an event last week and a guy I know was there. He left without coming up to me and even saying goodbye, and then sent a text. Oh, asking me to spend the night. Okay. I told him he needed to say goodbye and responded, fuck you. Oh, wow. I called him and left a message. I said, I think your response got lost in translation. He called not an answer. These dudes mouth are reckless too. And I told him, men, don't talk to me like that. He has you in a category. Why? I don't know. That's how that comes across to me. And I'll be the first to say this. There's some women that a man sees it and what'd you say, Dave? He just wants a John Deere. Maybe he has you in that category. I don't know what the reputation and the rapport is between you two, but you're absolutely right. In the song Around the Pain, House of Pain did, Everlasting said, and this is gonna sound vulgar, if you want to fuck me, first you got to kiss me. This dude didn't even have the good graces to come up and speak to you, say hi or anything. And then he thinks you're gonna turn around and just drop the goods on him just like that, just because.
See, situations like that make me think like, did he think he did his homework and he got misled or whatever the case is? Did he figure, oh, I know she was in a prior situation that's over with, and
Yeah,
hey, maybe she a little lonely, whatever. I'm gonna play the percentages, whatever. When you make risks like that, it has to be something to make you come out there and like spend a night with me. That's just that's real. That's like bold. Unless you think you're that guy,
yeah.
you're that guy. But if you have no, um, and Daphne, you've been on a part of our platform. We met before and all this stuff, whatever. But I always look at you as somebody that's classy, resilient, work hard, and so you're not gonna come out like some women. You're not just gonna come out your mouth like that.
Yeah.
Uh, like to spend the night. Now there are some women you're like, let me try this. I kind of know her stilo. Talked to a couple guys, whatever. Yeah, she look about lit, whatever. Let me just throw this out, and they may say, "Shit, fuck it, where you at?" Or whatever the
Yeah.
case is. Come
Well,
get me, or
yeah.
whatever the case is, and it'll happen. You said he's used to hood chicks, and that's the thing, whatever.
Oh, yep. Yep.
And
Like
sometimes
I said, it
people
got
get
your
the
label.
message misconstrued because if you're an event that got professional people, then you have hood chicks that want to be professional. Sometimes the lines get blurred. Again, we always talk about KYP. Know your personnel. Like know your personnel to know who you can send that message to. It don't apply to every woman. It don't apply. Now, some women may be hood chicks and they may play that role, like nah, it ain't that easy and all that. But he already got your history. He already got the 411 on you from before. And maybe a couple of his partners, shit, John Deere or whatever the case is, years ago. So, and unfortunately, those times don't get erased as you may think. Like, yeah, I was giving it up in my 20s and my teenage years. That don't disappear in a man's head, whatever, to say, man, she a good woman. No, she go to church and all that. Nah, nah. It don't go. It doesn't go away, and they don't view you differently.
It's not
You could
natural
be,
sex.
yeah, you could be working. You could be professional now, whatever. Those images and thoughts don't go away. Oh, you was dropping it like it was this, and you dealt with this person, whatever. Now I'm a motherfucker that's accountant or this and that, and you ain't trying to get down. Get the fuck out of here. And that's when sometimes it go the wrong way, whatever, and
Right.
they try to humiliate you and bring up your past when you really made a concerted effort to change. But they still see you in the, I think you mentioned earlier, talking about reputation. That reputation sometimes doesn't leave you. And Doc said it sure don't. So it
Yeah.
don't go nowhere. So and I think people think that it does, but it don't.
And this is why you will find a lot of people, like if you find a woman who's moving around a lot, she's running from her past. Whether the past is good or bad, she's running from it. And we know you can't outrun the internet. I don't care who you are, I don't care where you are, I don't care what you're trying to do. You can't outrun the internet. This is why, when we talk about body count, we don't really talk about it a lot on this particular platform. But when we talk about body count, that's why. Because and what a lot of women don't realize is this. I'm gonna drop some game on you, so get your pen and pad ready. If I look at your friends list, whether it's on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, and if I see a margin of more than, let's say, 5 to 2 male to female, it's a very safe bet that probably 8 to 10% of those men, depending on the number of men you got on your friends list, they don't tapped. They don't tap, or they trying to put themselves in the pipeline to tap. Why? Unless you are doing it for business, unless your banner says, I'm selling this, or I have this many followers because I'm promoting this clothing brand, most women are not that open with themselves unless they open with themselves. That's just a word from a man who's been around, who peep game, who knows game, and who knows some women that have been doing some things with some people. 5 to 2 is that ratio. That's just me putting it out there. I have not quantified it. No one has quantified it. But if I see 5 men, and for every 5 men there's only 2 women, you've been getting it in. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that your reputation is out there and it precedes you. So if you got 1,000 friends on Facebook and say and you haven't went to school with the vast majority of them, and I'm talking high school, college, or you haven't worked with them, yeah, there's been a whole lot of John Deere and a seed sowing going on. That's not my business. I don't make it my business. I just program for what it is. I say, oh, let's see what this is about. Because we know women like attention. And I'm not saying that that attention always comes with your clothes off, but this the attention nonetheless. So, and it's true what they say, birds of a feather flock together. So we ain't finding atheists hanging out with Christians. We're not finding the agnostic hanging out with the people who are nothing but Bible thumpers. So it's a very safe bet that y'all all running around and if you don't know, y'all may have slept with at least 1 or 2 of the same guys. Don't ask me how I know, because I ain't one of them. And it's funny, when I add Facebook friends, I look to see who they have in common. I'm like, okay, I've been with this person, I've been with this person. Yeah, you gotta watch how I deal with this. And some people don't think it's a real thing. That's how I play my cards. I'm like, okay, I know I've been with this person. I know I've been with this person. So if I add this person, nothing can occur. Some people don't care. They say, well, whose business is it? Well, shit, it's not a matter of it being anybody's business. It's about my reputation. Now, given the 5 to 2 ratio that I just mentioned, what part of that ratio do I want to be a part of? I don't know. I'm just putting the question out there.
Yeah. See, again, this type of conversation could be useful for a, a lot of individuals, but again, we are still gonna keep dropping it. It don't matter. You're gonna get it one way or another, whether it's on clips or whatever. You'll see it, and I know y'all see it. Um, Doc made a couple comments. I still want to go back to the old hit. She said, "I dated a dude in my early 20s, and he's now 63 years old. And he's still trying to holler." I'm like, "Dude, you ain't grow up." You know, I only could say that dating in your 20s, and he's still trying. He's 63, still chasing that silver bullet, and like, damn, I should have locked this down back then, but you probably still see some of the same behaviors even though he's 63, 40 some years later, and he might as well yeah, he might as well seek other pastures, whatever, if he still ain't getting that opportunity, whatever. And this, you said it's funny because this guy thought I had a baby daddy, and I said no. My first husband is the father of all of my children, and my second husband, I have no kids. He was shocked. Yeah. So, again, people get false leading information or really don't know everything, and they just come up with assumptions, and they try to base things on that without knowing, again, your personnel. uh you said I sure do see them behaviors. So again, this whole subject matter, the ceasefire, talking about the whole dating and approaching people, it's a lot that go into it. A lot of people don't even think that deep enough to think to say, like, damn, I need to refocus, I need to reshift my thoughts, or figure out their next approach. They just go in one relationship, jump into the next, and base on they crew. Oh, he cute, he nice looking, whatever. You should give him a chance, and it's just a mess. But we've been kind of talking about the rejection, and it's other areas. I want to probably go and shift back, go into the village thing, because back in the days, that's one of the ways that you would meet people, because of the village, whether it was at a gathering, something small, intimate, at a friend's house. I know back in our days when we was in college, we throw like little card parties, or we used to call them sessions, get up, drinks, cards, and all that stuff. And it would be different people invited, and you had that opportunity. Nothing major, nothing big, but it was an opportunity that you could kind of show your personality, and it may be somebody there that you're interested in, but because most of the people there were closely connected, that you may have somebody who put in a good word for you. But in this day and age, because a lot of people are jumping in, inboxes and things like that, that village doesn't remain. You're not having those same type of events or functions, or people are headed straight to the club and things like that. Well, I can always tell you, even though that used to be one of our things, I always talk about this, how we go out, try to get numbers, and then try to follow up and try to see what our luck was when we were younger. But in the club, what are you really gonna get out of that? Shit, you can't hear each other. You're constantly, what you say? What's that? Or whatever, because the music is so loud. Uh, so to me, it always been gatherings, get-togethers, events, family functions, cookouts, things of that nature has always been the way. And that's when the village was created. And you still have people that's couples today because they met at a cookout, or some small intimate setting that they had. Yo, she's a good woman, she's a good girl, like, she's interested in you, she's been liking you for a long time. Remember the one a year ago, year and a half ago, we was there, she been liking you since then. But she said she would never say anything because you always brought another woman to these events.
Mm-hmm.
So she just sat back and said, and now, should you single, shit, I think you should give her a try. I holler at her. And based on that, and who's telling it, you may take that recommendation strong and say, you know what? Shit, I am like, damn, she been liking me that long. She never said anything. And he might say, fool, because you always had somebody different with you every time. So she just sat back. But she said to herself, she ain't the right person for him. She waited her turn, and that's what happened. But you don't have if you don't have those opportunities, you're not going. It ain't gonna happen at the club. It ain't. For your people still getting dressed up to go out and think you're gonna catch at the club. I don't give a damn if it's a happy hour, whatever the case is. Probably not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It's gonna be have to be some type of intimate setting, personal recommendations, and people vouching for you. Um, and that's that. I can I could give you scenarios for days about situations going out and this and that, but if that's what you're looking for, that ain't it. That ain't it. And you will still be wondering why nobody's approaching you. And a lot of times people may not approach you because again, we're in the day and age of social media and
Mhm.
footage and people taking pictures and all that. No man with something on his mind want to see that same woman always plastered on social media at every party, at every event. It's not a good look. It's not. And you can say, shit, I worked hard. I did my thing. I'm going outside. I'm going outside. Well, what you're going to get is the same dudes that's outside all the time, every party, every event, whatever. Until that one person comes, maybe from out of town or somebody who's been working and ain't been out and just say, you know what? I'm going to step out. I'm going to go out. And then everybody is on her or him. Everybody. And you just in line. You just in line to see if you could be the one that attract his interest or vice versa. If you're a guy, seeing if you pretty much playing the percentages to see if you could be that one. So remember, the village is key. Create opportunities to meet people and bring people together, but it ain't always got to be no massive crowds, whatever, because that's all. It's a big disruption. And like I said, I used to always say, I always used, when we were younger, I used to say, dude, I'd rather just have a gathering with friends and other people. We invite a few people, we all get together, than going out listening to some damn music, loud music, and we can't understand and we can't even conversate. What? Some people, y'all still like that shit. But you see how it work. Y'all going out and out and out till y'all ass is 50, 60, whatever, to the point y'all be out in walkers and shit. And fucking scooters in the club, whatever. Because that's what it's going to look like sooner or later for y'all. Everybody riding around in motor scooters, playing fucking bumper cars in the club, whatever. Because that's where it's coming for our generation. That's where we headed to, whatever. Fucking bumper cars in a club, whatever.
It's funny you say that because, and we talk about it here, and I'm gonna talk about, and I'm gonna keep sounding like a scratch CD. If you want to be approached as a woman, I'm saying strictly as a woman, where there's no pressure, okay, no pressure on that man to land. In other words, there's no pressure for him to connect with you, for him to get your number and anything else to go on. Sporting events. That's right. Take your ass out to Las Vegas during one of the fights, and I'm sure David can attest to this,
Yeah, yeah.
and just mingle. Go with the intent of being met. I'll say it again. Go with the intent of being met. And in other words, you should leave that event with having given your contact information. That's right, given your contact information to you think that are at least reputable men. 5 reputable men. Some could be there that you met for business. Others can be there that you met for pleasure. Your intent, gotta get this in there. Your intent is to be met. Have people say, you know what? I remember when we met, we were at the such and such event. Yeah. Hey, how's this business going? What connections did you make out there? Men don't have a problem with not being able to pick up that woman that at that particular point. Because we know it's a long game. And some men are willing to play the long game. When I say the long game, I'm not strictly speaking of betting a woman. I can know a woman for 3 years, and you know what? She could put me on solid business leads. She could be somebody that solidly addresses or answers some questions for me. And I can say, you know what? She's good people to have. And you know what? She's good people to bring along with me. Why? Because I know she's going to pick up some business leads. So guess what? I'm going to DC this weekend. Uh, 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 she might be a fan of some opera or something. I like the opera. I say, hey, look, I'm going to catch this opera. I got an extra ticket. You want to come along? She already knows that you don't expect anything, that you're not looking for anything. She said, you know what? Let me check my calendar. She calls back a couple hours. I'm free. What do I need? All you need to do is pack a bag. I got your airfare, I got the tickets, and I got you a hotel room. She ain't got to ask, what do I need to pay? What's going on? Because you guys have already established a rapport. So now you get to the spot and she do what she normally do. She meet people. And you don't care if she meet a guy down there that's a potential boyfriend because that's not your rapport. She come back, she say, hey, let me ask you something. I met this dude, yada, yada, yada. What do you think? Hey, did he send off any alarm bells? No. Well, kick the tires on the car. See, Dave mentioned it, we've gotten away from the village concept so much that we can't trust our instincts and we question them, especially the women. So now we question our instincts so much to the point that we don't feel comfortable with having somebody on our squad who's the opposite gender because we think they're trying to bang. Got to readjust that. You got to readjust and fine tune your receptors so your receptors work for you and not against you. Because if your receptors are always trying to push stuff away because you think they only want one thing, then you're never going to be able to figure out when someone doesn't because you're not tuned that way. So, like I said, tune yourself so you're approachable and ask why you're not getting approached. Because I'll tell you now, women who have no problem attracting men, they ain't asking that question. They say, how can I get them to stop approaching me? Because I just want to be able to go out and have a drink and just sit down and eat. I'm just trying to decompress from my day. Most men, whether they're very attractive or not so attractive, they're not asking that question. They don't ask why women don't approach me. Why? Well, most women don't approach because they're afraid. Right of first refusal. Remember that. As a woman, you have the right of first refusal. Men are expecting that. So as a man, I walk up to a female thinking, shit, I don't have this bag. I don't have it bagged until I got it bagged. But we understand that. We understand that, we're running against the wind, if you will. Shout out to Bob Seger. And that's okay. Because if we're successful, all that does is just boost our inner confidence. Some people call it conceited. I don't care. Call it what you want. It lets me know that I have something, whether it's internal, external, in the way that I look, my shoes, my cut, my jib. I got something that at least one woman finds attractive. So let's go find her. Let's go see if another woman finds it attractive. Then we keep what they say, matriculating the ball down the field. That's it. But don't expect men to keep hunting. And the only thing they get are missed targets. It's not even a no. They just missed the target. The target gone, and they get there. They're like, damn, from 50 feet, it looked like a sure thing. I get up on it and it's just like, no, 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 no. It's not what I thought it was. And it's not because he wasn't attractive. It's like two magnets of the same polarity trying to get next to each other. They're just gonna repel. And that's often what a lot of what we have is when we find out about another individual is like not what I thought it was. At least in the club, and I know David was talking about this. At least in the club, you can get some measurable gauge on whether it was on what it was that attracted her to her. So, does she look more attractive from farther away? Was it the fact that you was drinking too much? You had them beer goggles, or any number of things. You can say, "Damn, dude, I was I that drunk that night when I bumped into this chick?" Because I seen the daylight, man, no music, and it's like, "Oh no, not with you." It's like the female from the movie "I'm gonna get you, sucker." She started addressing you. Say, "Oh, what the hell was this?" You try it, but
Well,
man, it's a jungle out here, man, and nobody's safe. Even the married people aren't safe unless they've been married about 20, 25 years. Yeah, they good then. They good. Because divorce probably isn't going to happen. So they don't have to worry about getting back out to the jungle that is the dating market. But it's not easy for anyone that doesn't understand how to make it easy. So make it easy for yourself. Don't make it harder for yourself. Don't make it harder for somebody to approach you if you want to be approached. That's the key. Because you got a lot of women that'll go out to social events and they don't want to be approached. Well, the question becomes, why are you here? Like I've been sent up friend requests to Facebook people, and I started having a conversation, and the first thing to say is, why did you contact me? Why do I want to talk to you? Fucking social media. That's why I sent you a friend request. I want to see who you are, to see what your dislikes were.
yeah, do you know me? How do I know you?
But they out there, man. They out there. Like the stylistics say, music people make the world go round. I just unfriend them and keep moving because I realize they're not for me. I'm an outgoing person for most intent and purposes, but there's sometimes I'm just like, okay, I don't random friends requests. We don't have any people in common. Okay, now I start my digging. How can I help you? Would you see my name at etc. Oh here. Oh, okay, cool. But I mean,
But I think when we look at all this, it's so many other different avenues. Like, for example, sometimes, again, we talked about rejection. She may say no. So when you think about back in the 90s, she may say no. But then in the current 2026, she says yes. But it's not that many guys are scared of rejection. He may be scared of the selection. Whereas if you're someone that's beautiful, attractive, and all that, that he knows that, or if you say yes, it could only be because sometimes, again, we talk about the influence of friends. They may say, well, yeah, all right, you're not talking to anybody right now, have fun, chill out, hang out with them or whatever, and see where it goes. But deep down inside, she's waiting for someone else. She's waiting for someone else. And I know back in the days, the coldest thing used to be when you would get involved. If you got involved with a girl, and you were straight up on the narrow, did everything the right way, and she was waiting for could been waiting for somebody to get out of jail because that's her love, that's her baby, that's her. Especially if she had a kid by them or whatever, and she's just waiting and just buying time. And then once she know he was coming home, your ass was kicked to the curb.
Yeah.
And it happens like that. So sometimes guys like they're not worried about the rejection. They worried about where they stand as far as the selection process. Like shit, how long am I gonna be in this? Uh shit. Especially if they do homework or ask around and you're in a small town that you may be able to get some information, some data. And they're like, oh, well, this is one guy. She was in love for years. He relocated. He still pop up here and there, and then I'll see them out. So you always, you always may be faced with that. Like when he come to town, oh, they gonna be together.
Yeah.
They gonna be together. They gonna hang out. Then you be like, shit, what the fuck? Like, so you mean tell me I've been dealing with her? I'm dealing with her for over a year, whatever, and he comes around. She may have all excuses in the world that the reason why you don't. Y'all might spend every weekend together. That weekend, something came up, and now your ass on the back burner, and shit hurt, frustrated, disgusted, and probably you end up taking 10 steps backwards or whatever. That's just one of the things, and it's more stuff, whatever. Yeah, we can look at wasted time instead of wasted money. Back in the days, you might have viewed going out just to waste. If you didn't get what you want or it didn't work out, it could have been considered as wasted wasted time. Dates wasn't that expensive. First date, and I ain't even say coffee. That's when you older, but it depends. It might have been something inexpensive, but now, and I remember even growing up, and I used to say to people, since when movies, dinner, then shit, uh, dinner, movies, then after the movies, shit, you need another late night snack or something. Since when that was part of the first
Yeah.
date regime, whatever. But you may get a lot of that you spending money. But again, we always talk about return on investment. That you were like, shit, what did I get? What did I gain from this? So before it just wasted time, but now in the 2026 be a lot of wasted money. A
Yeah.
lot of wasted money. And if you someone conscious of your money, nobody likes to waste money. Like some people have it. Back in the days, we used to call them Tricky Dick Dawsons and all of that, and they used to. But those either they were like older guys that had good jobs and they were still out there chasing the young girls and they would be willing. They had their little play money that they would play around. They might even had a wife at home and all that, but they had some play money and they would spend it on a little younger woman, whatever. Maybe their wife wasn't got complacent, whatever. It wasn't pleasurable to look at, and he was out looking at other things, but he had a lot of play money. And then you had guys that hustle, whatever, and they. But see, the thing about that, if you thought you was special, it was probably three or four of them that they were still spending money with other people as well. You was just the pick of the day that day, or again, we talk about travel in the path of least resistance, wherever you can find peace at, or maybe store their drugs at your house or whatever the case is, or maybe you were someone trustworthy that could hold their money and they know that you wouldn't bother. It was different means to the end, and these is how, like how some of these situations evolved over the years, and some cultures might say, "Nah, that's not how it is in our culture." But as two black men, we talk probably we're speaking on our experiences or what we know or what evolved in our lifetime growing up. So there's different things from the '90s to now, and certainly it's been a lot of changes that would make a man say, "Nah, I'm not going that route. I'm not approaching her." Some guys say she got to give me something, some type of signal, some type of indication that she's interested. And you may know, you'll know. And some of them, again, for me, my experience is it always was the village. That it might have been somebody coming up and say, "Hey," even if you was out and it was a random situation, it might have been one of her girlfriends. You know, my girl, she want to know your name, but she was afraid to come say
Mm-hmm.
something to you or whatever the case is. And you would have those type of situations. But it was a lot. It was wild. We did a lot of wild things and got a lot of rejections, and sometimes you got rejected, then years later, those rejections turned into yeses, and uh, you just stayed the course and remained who you were. And eventually, y'all came together, maybe as two professionals. You might have ran into each other and swapped numbers, and they say, "Hey, let's go out, let's hang out, grab something to eat." So the possibility is always there. It's probably
And
remaining
you know what?
true to who you are.
Speaking of, because we're coming into wedding season now, and I think the movie Wedding Crashers for me is a classic on how to meet people. I talked about um, are you approachable? There's absolutely no way. If you're a man, let's deal with both genders. There's no way that if you're a man and you're looking to expand your horizons, that you should not leave with at least three contacts. At least three, if you're a man. All right. I personally don't care if the contact is business. I don't care if the contact is recreational. I don't care if the contact is a friend of the maid of honor. Three, as a woman, you should leave with at least, if you're single, let me preface this. Same thing for the men. If you're single and you're looking, you should leave with at least one. Because most of the people that are going to attend that wedding, they're either a friend or a family member of the bride or groom. Yes, most people are going to be on the best behavior. So there's that factor that you might have to wade through. And then there's also the factor that, depending on when you meet them, early in the reception or later in the reception. Later in the reception, they might be under the influence. Early in the reception, they may not. They may not be, and it might turn around that hey, you guys have something in common anyway, but you didn't really flush that out because of all the things that were going on there. Make an effort. You can never fail just making an effort. And I know people say, well, why should I have to do this? Why should I have to do that? You don't. You do not have to try and get three contacts. You do not have to try and get a contact. You can leave with the same old empty billfold you came with and have the same old empty results you have. Nobody's forcing you to do anything. It's your life. As Billy Joe said, it is your life. Of course, my life. I'm just telling you, if you want to be approached, if you want We talked about this last week. Needs and wants. If you want to be in a circle where people are doing things, where people are going places, where people had things to do, they had deadlines to meet, and their lives always seem full, open your hand and let somebody put something in it. Don't walk around with a ball of fist and then wonder why it's empty. Let somebody put something in it. Let somebody put some phone numbers in there. Let somebody put a name in there, and let somebody put something. An empty hand is always out, and will never receive anything. It's always going to be an empty hand that never receives anything, that never gets fulfilled. I'm just telling you.
And I guess when you think about approachability and all of that stuff, we always talk about what I always say, the 55-38-7 rule. Like a lot of the stuff is non-communication, body language, and all that. So sometimes, and trust me, by any means, I am not the aggressive type, and that's one of the things that have changed it because women, they want you to be confident, but they don't want, and I mentioned earlier, but they don't want you to be aggressive. I'm kind of laid back and observant, and if it's something that I can hone in on, then I may use my senses and then say, okay, there's some interest there, or let me throw this out there. But again, those are the situations when you're in like more of intimate settings, uh, smaller settings. I don't know the. And actually, at this age, I don't even care for being in big crowds, shoulder to shoulder, and be frustrated. And you go up to the bar, you got to wait for 30 minutes to get a drink, or you got people reaching all over you. That's just not my type of flow. Uh, but if that's you, and again, like I mentioned earlier, like women, you may have to change your. Sometimes you may have to adapt your standards and all that stuff, or your approachability if you want to be approached. And guys, you have to bring more than just being a vibe. Because if a woman says he's a vibe, then to it may really mean that should you just entertainment for that time, personal entertainment. Oh, he was a vibe that for that moment. I don't want to be no vibe. I don't. So somebody like, yeah, it was a vibe. That's that. If you look up the context of all that, that's just what it means for that time being. You were a vibe. You probably want to be something more consistent. Of course, they wouldn't find that out during that time. So I guess, and essentially, if you're a vibe, you would hope that it leads to other opportunities, and that's the whole thing. Trying to create more opportunities to be around each other. And as for you, how do you move on to the second stage?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's things that say, okay, when you get past the point of good morning, what you doing, how you doing, and it begins, okay, have some real conversation going on here. Because a lot of times that's what it may be. Good morning, beautiful. How you doing? What you doing? And all that stuff. But as time go on, it has to advance.
Yeah.
Those conversations have to advance. Uh, Hopefully, it leads to phone conversations and face to face conversations, maybe video chat conversations. Got to be something. If you still in months and months and y'all still on that level, what is that to say?
I'm going to tell you now. Fellas, advance the conversation as quickly as possible. That's right. You heard what I said. Advance the conversation as quickly as possible. Why? Because you don't have the time to waste. Like David is saying, it get to a certain point where that small talk is done. Advance the conversation. Find out if she wants to have kids. Find out what her long term goals are, her desires are, her wants, her wishes. Why? Because she's gonna say, "Wait a minute, you moving too fast." And if that's the case, and if that's your speed, guess what? She's not what you want. I'm gonna tell you now. I had a conversation with a 37-year-old female, and she asked me that question: "Why did you contact me?" Guess what? Delete. Move on. And this is over the course of maybe 2 days. I like to find out where people's heads are. I like to find out what people would do in certain situations. And I've asked women, what would you do if this occurred? That's a rather odd question. Yeah, it might be an odd question coming from somebody else. But me, no, I like to see where people stand because that tells me a whole lot about your mental. So, yes, I've asked a random female, how many kids do you have? Random, quote unquote. What would you do if you got pregnant? Well, why do you care? I'm just curious. Ask. That's how you sharpen yourself. That's how you are able to. People talk about what kind of questions, and this is something that we were asked at Saint Lavi, I think it was. What kind of questions would you ask on a date? Why would you ask them? Question is, when you go out with somebody, do you want to be, like David said, do you want to be memorable? Or you just want to be a vibe? Because I guarantee you that if you're memorable, you'll never be forgotten. Me, I aim to be memorable. I aim to be like, you remember that dude who asked that question about the abortions? I want to be him. I want to etch this in here. So when I'm seeing you, hey, you remember that? Because I'm at work and I get people that come up to me, they've stayed at the hotel before. Obviously, do you remember the discussion we were having about such and such? And I'm just like, you know what? My apologies. I meet so many people, have so many discussions. Can you tell me what it's about? Oh, yes, I do recall. Be that guy. Be that guy that's unforgettable. Even if you didn't get anything from that person. Because as long as you can be the person that's unforgettable, you're going to be able to do things. You're going to be able to create connections with people that you don't know that well. But creating the connection is the first step in being desirable. Because if you create a connection, somebody's going to say, you know, I can identify with him. I may not have liked him, but he's fun to be around. And guess what women want more than anything? They want to be entertained. They want to be where things are happening, things are going on, and people are there. Last thing a woman wants is boredom. And if you can take a woman out of her boredom, you're right there. You're right there.
Yeah. And you said a whole lot when you said being a vibe or being memorable and all that stuff. And sometimes, again, we talked about mention about branding or being that creep because they put you all out there in group chats and all that. But sometimes you just want to be that presence. Like even now, I'm like, okay, I go by the alias of controversial counselor. Sometimes I step out somewhere and they be like, people be like, "What's up, counselor?" You be like, huh? Like, okay. Like, oh, you didn't call me. And or somebody yelling at you, the controversial counselor or whatever. And you like, and you just minding your business or whatever.
Yeah, it catches you because I've had people do that. The big bad wolf, I'm looking around like, oh, shit, that's me.
And you just minding your business. Okay, I'm used to somebody maybe call my nickname or what's up, David, whatever they yo counsel, yo C2 or yeah. But you know that people may recognize you for something that identify you as something different than the average person that come out whatever. So you're always supposed to be working on building your branding
Right.
yourself to be uh something different. And in this day and age, a lot of people are using social media, whether it's TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. And to me, I always want to be recognized as consistent. Like he
Hmm.
always been consistent in what he did. And to me, that trumps anything. You may have more people, I always say, that may get more views, more likes, more such and such, but and I learned this from one of my leadership supervisors. He said, you may have all that, but you'll be hard pressed. He said, in my years as a teacher, I'm hard pressed to find somebody as more consistent as you are. And I try to live by that. If I'm thrown off or I'm doing something different, then you must know like shit, something ain't right. And I know people probably thinking like, David, you say that, but you ain't been putting out your No Friday Foolish message in a while. And you have did that for years in a row. I did. Sometimes but you know what? That's always instilled in me. Whenever I want to start it back, I'll do it
It's
again.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll do it again. It's just give y'all a little something, then I'll come back. And I dibble and dabble in different things, whatever. But I got a lot of stuff that be stirring in my head. And but the one thing I always want to be, is consistent. And I think and that's one of the traits that I value. Somebody with consistency. Uh, I don't like people to fly off the get out of routine. Of course, sometimes things is good to do something out of the blue, but I'm just saying overall, daily activities, I like to be consistent, whatever. I don't like to fly on a whim, anything like that. I like a lot of my stuff to be based on consistency. So that's where it's at. Herbie ticket
Hey,
over
let
there.
me read this into the files, if you will. This comes from, let me make sure I get this, Morpheus Jackson. And I want people to understand this is not mine nor David's words. These are his. And it might give you some insight into why the younger generation, I believe this gentleman is 36. So let me read this. Morpheus Jackson says, the fact that young chicks never walk the streets anymore is an underappreciated reason why dating is so much harder nowadays. I remember well into the early 2010s, you could always catch some fast little tail 17, 18, 19-year-old piece of ass walking the streets with some short ass pants or a skirt who would smash the first dude who pulled up. Remember, we talked about reputation. Nowadays, you can roam entire stretches of neighborhoods on hot sunny days, and if you see one little cute chick walking the streets, you can consider yourself lucky. American culture has gotten so private and so inward focused, you simply can't randomly meet and connect with people. I can't stress enough that a mere 16-year-old, you could smash a halfway decent little young chick so long as you had a car, an intact face, and the basic ability to say hi. I just wonder how dudes even meet chicks at all nowadays because never girls be out. I'll say because girls never be out and about at any location that's not tied to a specific activity like work or school. It's the feeling that a wolf gets when it's roaming the forest for miles and doesn't come across a single deer. American culture has become one immense antisocial, anti-fun sex prison. Now that's coming from a younger man who would love more than anything to approach. The only problem is he says there's no women to approach. Now, this he would be in and Gen Alpha, I think. Oh, no, I'm sorry, um, Gen Z, and he's represent loosely talking about Gen Z and Gen Alpha. If they can't get together because they don't think there's any place to meet, then what does that say? And he said it about the social fabric of the United States of America. You don't have kids out playing. There are no more malls where you can just go up and meet at the food court. I remember, gosh, and I don't know if you did this, David. Festival of Lights. We hung out at the Festival of Lights with the express intent. Sometimes it's just meeting females from other places, especially open the weekend.
I mean, it was always different opportunities like that. Like you said, sporting events. One of the things, the rivalry they sell in high school. If you go to one of them games, you will see girls that you ain't seen in a while, and some of them may be in college, or you either came back from college, and they may be. You may be a freshman, they may be a senior or a junior, but y'all still in the same age thing, and you're like, damn, okay, she looking good or whatever the case is, and then that usually led to like a after party
Mhm.
or something, and you may say, oh, you going out later, you going such and such, all right, I'm gonna see you then, or
Yep.
and connections were formed and things jumped off, whatever. I worry about these younger people, like, yo, this shit ain't right, whatever, like y'all don't do stuff right, whatever, to begin with. You don't see nobody. You have masses and masses of open space parks and all that. Well, that was the one way that if boys was playing football and all that, girls would come there. And they may be doing their own thing on the side, but they would be around because that's where people at basketball courts, whatever. In the summer, you think about center court field at the field, whatever. When they would
Oh,
have big games
yeah,
like that,
yeah.
everybody would be around,
Black
whatever.
experience,
Yeah, you had those type of
man.
things that you were like, man, oh, she looking good right there, whatever. Like, man, those days is
Yeah, it was
priceless.
either at the convention center
Yeah,
or center court. And if it was at the convention center, you can rest assured you had a few thousand people down there, man. And yeah, between the little drill teams they had, some double dutch competitions, and like you said, the basketball at center court always flooded,
right.
always. Yeah,
So for that guy, yeah, and I understand what he's saying because you would always have, even our days, you could be posted up somewhere, whether you was on Highland Avenue or across town or whatever, you would have like a crew of girls walking through, and they'll keep walking through because they knew people was checking them out.
yeah,
And they probably, each one of them probably wanted somebody to be there to step to them, and it would be like a ongoing thing. And sometimes as a guy, you'd be like, man, let me get dressed. Let me throw this lady's killer on. I know I'm gonna see her today. It's a field dance. It's a field dance today. I got to make sure I'm head to toe, whatever, because you knew the opportunity was there. Again, I often question like this generation because like shit. Even my younger students, I say, should y'all just go somewhere? What y'all go somewhere to fight? That's what
yeah,
y'all go there to do is fight. I said fights happened back in our days, but I know we wasn't on no fighting thing. We was more like wanting to crack jokes and to try to come up. On a young lady, try to not just to sleep with him, just to have like because we understood like if one of my boys met a girl, she more than likely got 5 6 friends, and we all could come together and we could have little things instead of being out at big parties.
right.
So that was the whole thing, whatever, and creating opportunities. And with those opportunities, you never know. Some of them end up being long lasting opportunities, and people end up together from those days. So now when we look at this culture and what's going on from the 90s to the 2026, I'll be like, man, where y'all gonna get it done at? How y'all gonna get it done? Because we talked about the social media being put on blast and all that, that people may not just be comfortable doing it as how we did it. We had we didn't have all that. And even sometimes we when we talk, we would say, man, what if we had cell phones back in the day? And I always think about when we was at college, like what if we had text messaging like, yo, come through here, I'm gonna open the back door or
Yeah, the
whatever the
closest we
case
have
is.
would be to, yeah.
Yeah. We didn't have those. We had the freaking hallway payphone. And if a girl said, I'm gonna call you around 11:15, and then you might, I remember myself parading by, and you may see a white guy on the phone like, yo, dude, phone check. You've been on this shit for like 2 hours, like damn. And they just sitting up, they curled up, they'd have pulled the chair up there, got their blanket, and they spun out like, yo, you got to get off this phone, man. Like, but then things advance when you have a phone in your room. I never had to
Yeah, I
work
was
to
gonna
have
say
a
that's a good
phone
thing
in my
about both
room.
states.
Yeah.
You can get you online, yeah.
But
And then
man,
and then and then you have things that you always raise, like the sip and dip. People underestimate the value of being able to organize little get-togethers, 10, 15, 20 people. Cost you $60, $70. Put on music with you. Get your little remote speaker and just get you a little uh, 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 catalog of songs and just play. You can have board games back to whatever you want to. And I think people will have forgotten the importance and the value of little things like that. So you don't have to worry about not being approached. That's done.
because
Everybody there pretty much knows somebody that brought somebody, and that network grows. But
because
people
even
don't realize that anymore.
even in our age group, if you had that mindset and you don't have anybody, and came to the weekend, you could pretty much create your own themes every weekend, and it could be invite only that and ain't gonna be no fighting and no breaking out here, and you can create your own culture, and that's
Yeah,
the problem. Creating your own culture that you say, you know what, we don't fuck with the bars and all that stuff anymore. It's the summertime. We meeting up at either her yard, my yard, his yard, and we have little things. Today was the 70 themes. Uh, we got the grease theme, Saturday Night Fever. Any theme you want to do, you have, and you can create opportunities to have fun and meet people, because oftentimes people, they get in their 40s or 50s and they're like, shit, like, damn, am I going to die alone? Like, how am I going to meet some people? Because again, and I think that some of the guys concerned, because now, based on social media, women have the opportunity. They probably have, like, on these apps, 500 matches that you got mad people in their inbox, especially if they um, easy on the eyes. But if you're a guy and you know that, shit, I'm in her inbox just like, shit, 50 other people are. Where do I stand with that?
right.
What am I saying different that's going to stand out? And really, again, like they say in sports, there's only one Super Bowl or NBA championship or Stanley Cup winner. Everybody else second place. Who the fuck wants to vie or be in a competition to always come up short? And that may be the case in certain situations, that some of these women, they already know they already know the prize or what they out to get. And you may say, it's not even worth it, whatever, even trying to compete or try to be in it, because I'm one amongst many that's try trying to get with them. That's a different story when they flip the thing and they in your inbox, or they flirting or hearting up everything you say, or whatever the case is. Then you may have a little leverage for our
Yeah,
social media.
yeah. That little picnics, little pool parties. If you got a pool in your backyard, an in-ground pool, have a couple 15, 20 people come over, man. A little bonfire. The list, literally, for me, personally speaking, is virtually endless. Y'all can have a little camp night, 15, 20 people sleeping bags. Y'all can sit out there and a little mini projection and watch movies like Revenge of the Nerds, things that were fun, The Karate Kid.
And
All
that was one of the things. One year, my sister was saying that she was going. She like everybody for her birthday weekend. We know how that goes. She was like everybody got to get tents or whatever, and everybody was going to sleep in the backyard, had tents or whatever, watch
yeah,
movies, and that was the year she said it was 48 hours. Like we partied 48 hours straight, and but those are thought processes that need to happen because everybody doing the same shit. If if y'all keep these old white parties and all that shit, because they ain't even white parties anymore. They off white. Cause y'all done wore that shit so much that them outfits ain't even white anymore. They ain't even white anymore. It's off white parties, whatever. If y'all don't get more creative, there's so many things that you could think about that you could do. If you're into sports and all that shit, opening football, training camp. You can
you know what?
it's all types of things.
I'm gonna drop a gem out here for us baby boomers and Gen Xers. How about get a croquet game going? Everybody put in $5. The winner, first, second, and third place prizes. Have some beverages out there. Because I haven't croqueted in 40 years, 50 years. So you can do croquet. You can have a croquet game going. You can have a horseshoes. Um, we know how we like some spades. Um, croquet, horseshoe, spades. What's the one when you drink and you walk around the pole or whatever it is? I can't remember. There's so many things, especially in the summertime, as the temperatures start to decrease and night sets in, and 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 the thing about that is this: if you want to bring your kids with you, and you got adults there who just want to chill, and they're gonna be responsible, hey, have your kids in a sleepover. Because when you do that, what you do is you give your children places that are, one, safe to play at. Two, you don't have to worry about anything going on that's not going to be handled right then and there. And I think, especially with people that have kids, that's their primary concern. Well, we can't get a babysitter. Well, you know what? We're going away to this park where everybody's bringing their kids, everybody's bringing food. We gonna hang out there. We got a place where we can drink inside. We set. Do that once a month in the summer, and you will see how much better your summers will be. Not only that, the village that we were talking about, you connect with that village because now you know these people. You're comfortable with these people. You say, hey, look, I'm running late for school. Can you pick up such and such? You know them. They know you. You go by, pick them up. They come by. You're golden. We have to reestablish that village. And that's one of the ways you can do that. Whether you live across town, you live in the next, whatever the case is.
Yeah, and it create opportunities in that
Yeah,
village. Somebody could say, "Man, I'm work here," and they be like, "Oh, we looking for part time people." You're like, "Wait a minute, shit, that's something I could do."
right.
Oh, well, let's connect, whatever. Send me your resume, whatever. And you could build and you could grow, whatever. It's tons of opportunities, whatever. And I think that's why you have to think small. And I ain't even saying for it to even get bigger because you don't even want it to get bigger. You want it to keep it at a level that is peaceful because as much as people say, and they trying to say, even with the incidents that happened a couple weeks ago, larger crowds, that's just an issue. That's just issue when when it has when again we talked about this last when it's people that you don't know what their motives are. So
Mhm.
large crowds create fake bravery, fake bravado with people, and and when you attend things like that, you never know the, the end result or who's there sitting there and why they there and what they plotting on. Because this in this day and age, all it takes is yo, oh, so I just seen such and such here. Pull up. He here. Shit, he here. Or like we say, dating. It could be some dude deranged, mad about some girl. Yeah, oh, she with him right now. Oh, they together? All right. I'll be up there. I'm gonna get her ass. Or whatever the case is. And then shit break out. And now people are like, they don't understand what happened
Right.
because somebody sent a text message or whatever, or a screenshot or a picture and said, yo, she with this nigga right now. And then he coming up. You don't think about that stuff. You think, oh, I'm just going out, but you don't know what other people have going on. When you have a control, see, that's the thing. Controlled environment, you have different results. When you open up stuff for anybody, you lose control, and that's why chaos happens. You got to put yourself in more of a controlled environment that you dictate what's going on and who gonna be in there or whatever the case is, and then you'll have more harmony with different relationships or people connected. But long as you looking for that old wild forest fire type shit that anything happens, eh, somebody gonna get burnt. The bottom line.
And honestly, like Dave said, control. You might want to control it. You might want to send out invites that have to be postmarked and sent back in the mail. That way, when they come there, you can say postcard number of people, come on in. Postcard number of people, come on in. If you don't got a postcard, guess what? No entrance. Ain't nobody. Ain't no somebody said this or no, no, you don't come in. Period.
Yeah. And again, and that's how if you have harmony and people meet and you have a good time. Because even years ago when we had that sip and dip, people was they really enjoyed that. Uh, things jumped off out of that event. We always said we was gonna go back to it. It ain't happened, but I always say, and I know if I want to get something started, I could just tell my sister whatever. Hey,
Yeah,
let's do
the
it.
ball roll. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Another sip and dip, whatever. I ain't gonna give no test no more because I ain't do that shit. I had the grade on the curve, whatever. but but I always thought,
Excuse me.
and I still think that, and I just don't have the time, and that's when you have to create teams and all that. I always thought that having nights for professional development, like dating and having games and quizzes and stuff like that. Like if I had the money to have venues and all that stuff, I always thought that shit can go cross country. That could be all over. Like you could just go to different places and people that's in their 40s or 50s, I'm sure they rather go that than listen to music and be like, have opportunities to meet, hear people speak, to see how articulate they is, to see how they answer questions, to see dialogue. But I see other people, they probably adapt this stuff and they're doing it, but usually they have more of a like I said, more of a team. You got to put a team together and people willing to do that, especially if you want to bring people together in peace. And that's my thing. It's about peace. Anytime you in your 40s or 50s and you're at events and people fighting and cutting up, that ain't for you. You ain't even mobile enough to get out of the way of anything. uh, and shit, half of the people I know, 40, 50, they damn near on walkers or struggling to move around. But that's where we at, people. So, uh, again, with this conversation, ceasefire, uh, talking about, ceasefire, white men stop approaching, many reasons why. But I think one of the things is confidence and comfortability will always have people eager if you're confident and you're comfortable. And then sometimes you got to get out your comfort zone. But even within, like we said, controlled environments, sooner or later, you're going to get comfortable. You're going to get comfortable. You may feel uncomfortable at first, but sooner or later, as more of the events happen and you see, like, damn, there she go again. God damn, she looking good. We only had these events once a month, but I look forward to seeing her tonight. I'm stepping to her. I'm stepping to her tonight, or vice versa. And you may create different things, but you know, the definition is insanity. You keep doing what you're doing, you're gonna keep getting the same results. So that's why people may not approach people because of all the other variables or factors that has happened since the 90s to the current 2026 that people say, nah, I ain't with it. I ain't with it unless it's a sure thing. Unless it's a sure thing. I ain't stepping out and I ain't doing this. Ain't nobody about to play me or whatever, because that's what you get. All right, that's all I have on this subject. Big Bad Wolf, anything you want to close out on this
I'm
subject
clear.
matter?
I am clear.
Because we know it all. We just spin the block and all that. And it got my mind, and that's why I say to myself, damn, I just need time. I just need free time to let my mind roam and try to create the things that I want to create. Sometimes when you work and all that stuff, you feel regulated. You can't do everything that you want to do. And my mind is always thinking about like different things that I want to do. And we talked about the living. I forgot the phrase. I keep messing it up every week. I need to write it down. What I say it's called. Talk about the age process of uh, the typical standard of age that people die and all that stuff, and then you think
Mhm.
about living. Uh, I need to write it down. I hate when I can't when my mind when I get like a, as they say, brain fart or whatever the case is. But you know what I mean, like as far as that typically, they say, yo, you may die at such and such age, but it's when you're still healthy and things that you put in place that you want to do, that you got to be able to do it at that time, or it may be too late. And that's the thing that I keep struggling like that. It's a lot of things that I want to do that I can do. I just need time and availability to try to put things together. And some people, they're fortunate that they set their stuff up in place that they're doing it. But hell, I say to myself, shit, why can't I? I'm always thinking. My mind always racing for different opportunity things to do. And I think that's where we got to be, uh, trying to move forward, live more in a harmonious type of lifestyle, and try to have opportunities so that people can be more approachable and bring people together. Because we always say, shit, everything starts from the household in peace and harmony. And we seem like got far removed from that, and there's chaos in the homes. And it's chaos in the neighborhoods, chaos in the communities, chaos in the cities, and that's why we keep having these little mishaps, whatever, because we having people coming together under terms of chaos. So with that said, we out on to the next one. and I'm gonna write my little stuff down. You get older, you got to start writing shit down. You be getting things, terminology, the things that you want to say. Like, damn, and I hate that because I'm an ultra competitor. So I'll be better next time, folks. All right, good people. We out. On to the next one. See ya next time. Everybody be safe. It's supposed to be another heat waves around. Stay cool, stay hydrated, and please be safe.
Yeah.
And watch out the environments you go to. Make sure you attend control environments. Controlled. All right, folks. We out. Peace.
Yeah. Take care.
All right.